My people, it's a beautiful day. I missed you the past couple days, so I think I'm gonna knock out a couple videos today, just to keep to my word at one video per day. So today, what I'm going to talk about, just because it's been on my mind, the whole 1099 employee thing. It happens a lot in Texas. I see it so much, and I want to talk about it a little bit today. And it's employers that get away with paying their employees 1099 contract workers. All right. Now, I didn't think about doing this before I started the live, but what I really need to do is get the legal definition of an employee. That way, I'm just not talking out the side of my neck, and then we can proceed. Legal definition of employee. Now, I'll tell you real quick, without even looking at the definition. Employee is someone that you direct, right? It's someone that you tell when to come to work, when to leave, what to do while they're there. They're using all of your materials. They're using all of your tools in order to do the job. That is literally what an employee is, right? An independent contractor means that the company is your customer, and you work when you want, how you want. Your only job is to take care of the job. Whatever that job is, your job is to do it, but you do it on your own time whenever you want to. If the customer does not, like what you're doing, or they don't like the timeline you're giving them, then they can move somewhere else, right? And that's the reason why when you're 1099, you have all these business expenses. And I think it's so sad. From time to time, I have somebody that comes to me and they give me a 1099, and the first thing I say is, okay, so what are your expenses? What are your business expenses? I say, well, I don't have any. All I do is drive to work every day. That's not an independent contractor. And companies get away with it, especially here in Texas, simply because we don't have any unions here, right? There's no one looking out for the employees' best interests. And so companies get away with this crap. I had one young lady tell me a couple years ago that the company 1099 her for the first 3 months that she worked there because they said that she was, I guess, on probation or something. So she had to be 1099 for the first 3 months. And then after 3 months, they hired her on as an employee, and she got a W-2. So this young lady had a 1099 and a W-2. And the 1099 was for 3 months of work. And she didn't have any business expenses whatsoever. I mean, she couldn't even claim business use of home because she was working there for the employer. And you can't write off we're going from home to work either, because the IRS says that you can only write off going from your office to like a customer or something like that. You can't write off going from home to the office every day. That doesn't work. So not even that. So I do have a definition here. Let's kind of read this together. I'm not sure what this is going to say, but it says a person who is hired for a wage, salary, fee, or payment to perform work for an employer. In agency law, the employer is called an agent and the employer is called a principal. This is important to determine if one is acting as an employee when injured for work compensation purposes, or when she causes damage to another, thereby making the employer liable for damages to the injured party. Okay, well, that doesn't help us out a whole lot. I'm going to continue my definition, right? So again, and I'm going to see if I can look up IRS definition. If you are working for someone, they tell you when to come to work, when to leave. They tell you what to do while you're there, and you're using their tools and their equipment and their edifice to get this job done, then you are an employee and not an independent contractor. Let's see. Now, I'm going to actually put this in the description of the video too. This is a really good one. It's kind of long, but I mean, it gives you everything, right? And so what it simply says is control, or is like the number one thing to look for. The relationship between a worker and a business is important. If the business controls what work is accomplished and directs how it is done, it exerts behavioral control. If the business directs or controls financial and certain relevant aspects of a worker's job, it exercises financial control. Okay, this includes the extent of the worker's investment to the facilities or tools used in performing the services, the extent to which the worker makes his or her services available to the relevant market, how the business pays the worker, and the extent to which the worker can realize a profit or incur a loss. Now, what that simply means is you have to be able to incur a loss in order to be considered an independent contractor. If you cannot incur a loss, then you are an employee. All right. Now that we got that out the way, and like I said, it's a long article. There's a couple other things here that they talk about, but I'll let you read that on your own time. Now, If you are one of these people, here's what you need to do, okay? Number one, you need to talk to your employer and explain to them exactly what's going on. Tell them you are not an independent contractor and that you want a W-2, you want wages, okay? The reason why employers do this stuff, and many of us understand this, is because they don't want to pay payroll tax themselves. That ain't my problem. It's not my fault you don't want to pay payroll tax. Why do I have to pay the payroll tax? You pay the payroll tax. Okay? That's what's going on here. Now, how do you get this done? Very simple. There's 2 forms you need to fill out, okay? The first one is called an SS8. Determination of worker status for purposes of federal employment taxes and income tax withholding, okay? This SS8 is basically going to ask you for your information, the employer's information, and why it is that you think that you're an employee instead of an individual contractor, okay? It's a very simple form to fill out. If you need help, please let me know. I don't mind helping, all right? The next form that you'll need is the form 8919, uncollected Social Security and Medicare tax on wages, okay? This is the form that you file in order so that you don't have to pay payroll tax on their 1099, okay? Now, what's going to happen is you file these forms. Okay. And I hope I wasn't covering the microphone this whole time. I swear, I'm so bad at that. Anyway, what's happening is when you file these forms with the IRS is going to reach out to the employer and say, hey, one of your people was not a contract laborer. You're going to have to pay us payroll tax. Okay, that's how that happens. Now, a lot of times I give this information to people. I explain to them exactly how to use it, but they don't want to do it simply because they're afraid of losing their job. If you lose your job behind this, unemployment is almost guaranteed, right? That's number one. Number two, you have a real lawsuit on your hands if you run into this situation and they don't comply, right? Because again, like I said before, you are an employee. You are not a contractor, okay? If these people are telling you when to come to work, what to do while you're at work, they're telling you when to leave, and they're paying you based on an hourly rate that they decided to pay you on, and you can't walk in and say, oh, well, I've changed my rate whenever you want to, right? If you don't bill them, if you don't send them an invoice, you're an employee. And I say come to them with this paperwork from the IRS and say, listen, we're going to have to work something out. I'm going to file this, you know. Please, guys, if we're not doing this, then these companies are going to continue to get away with this stuff. And it's sad. It's sad and it sucks, you know. We got to do better. So that from me to you.